In this lecture, we will implement a 1000-point Gaussian mean filter in Python. The first step is to import the necessary Python modules, which we always do at the start of each Python lecture. We import NumPy as np, matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and also import matplotlib style. Let's run this cell to import all the necessary modules. Now, we will follow a 3-step process. First, we will create a noiseless signal. Second, we will generate random noise. Third, we will combine the noise with the signal to create a noisy signal. For the first step, we are setting a sampling rate of 512 Hz this time. The time vector is similar to what we used for the moving average filter. We are generating a signal from 0 to 3 seconds. Because the sampling rate is higher, 1 over the sampling rate is a small quantity, and we get more samples between 0 and 3 seconds. The number of points is equal to the length of the time vector t. Next, we create a noiseless signal. We set the frequency to 2 Hz and generate a sine signal. Then, we generate random noise, and the number of points in the noise matches the number of points in the signal. To add noise to the signal, the number of samples in the noise must equal the number of samples in the signal. Let us print the number of points to see how many samples we have. In the previous moving average filter example, the signal length was 768 samples. Now, the length is higher because the sampling rate is higher, giving us more samples in the same interval from 0 to 3 seconds. Increasing the sampling rate within a fixed time interval increases the number of samples in the signal. This is our noiseless signal. We have also generated random noise in the same way as we did for the moving average filter. By adding this noise to the signal, we now have a noisy signal. Next, we plot the noisy signal, which spans from 0 to 3 seconds. Now, we will generate the Gaussian filter as we discussed in the previous lecture. We set the order of the filter to 100 and set an important parameter, the full width at half maximum, or FWHM, to 50 milliseconds. The unit of this width is milliseconds because the Gaussian filter is generated in milliseconds. We then generate the Gaussian time vector. To differentiate from the signal's time vector, we call it g-time. The Gaussian time vector runs from -n to +n, that is, -100 to +100, and is divided by the sampling rate. Dividing by the sampling rate converts the indices into seconds. Since the FWHM is in milliseconds, we multiply the Gaussian time by 1000 to convert it to milliseconds. Now, we apply the Gaussian equation to generate the filter. It is -4 divided by the square of FWHM multiplied by the square of the Gaussian time. The result is raised to the exponent. By running this equation, we generate the Gaussian filter. Next, we normalize the filter, which is very important. The filter may have arbitrary values, so we sum all the filter coefficients and divide each coefficient by this sum. This ensures the Gaussian filter can be applied to any noisy signal. Normalization scales the filter so its amplitude is suitable for all signals. We then plot the Gaussian filter against Gaussian time in magenta color. The resulting Gaussian filter is smooth. Its amplitude is small, approximately 0.35, and the time range is also small. This ensures the filter can be applied to signals of varying durations. Our noisy signal spans 0 to 3 seconds, and the Gaussian filter is defined from -100 to +100 milliseconds, keeping it consistent and scalable. Next, we perform zero padding on the noisy signal to avoid edge effects, which we discussed in the previous lecture. The order of our Gaussian filter is 100, so we add 100 zeros before and 100 zeros after the noisy signal. This extends the signal length to accommodate the filter properly. We denote the original noisy signal length as A, which is 1536 points. After zero padding, the signal length increases. Since the signal length has increased, we also need to extend the time vector to match the new length. Previously, without zero padding, the signal had 1536 samples. After adding 100 zeros at the start and 100 zeros at the end, the total length becomes 1736. We generate a new time vector corresponding to this extended signal length, denoted by A. This ensures the signal and time vector are properly aligned for plotting and filtering. This time vector runs from 0 to k, representing the original signal. Since we added 100 zeros before and 100 zeros after the signal, the time vector now contains additional samples from -n to 0. This range represents the padding before the original start of the signal. The original noisy signal spanned from 0 to k, so we added 100 zeros before 0 and 100 zeros after k. This is how we generate the time index for the zero padded signal, which we call signal for filter, used to avoid edge effects. As I mentioned earlier, this time index is then divided by the sampling rate to convert it into seconds. The sampling rate, in hertz, ensures that dividing the indices converts them into units of seconds. Now, if we run this cell, we have generated both the zero padded signal and the corresponding time for the filter. To verify, we check that the lengths of the signal and time vector are the same. Dividing by the sampling rate converts the unit, but does not change the length. Both now have a length of 1736 points. The original signal, without zero padding, had a length of 1536 points. Adding 100 zeros at the start and 100 zeros at the end increased the length to 1736. Now we can plot the zero padded signal against the extended time vector, clearly showing the negative time before 0 and the padding after 3 seconds. This confirms that we have successfully generated a zero padded signal to avoid edge effects. Next, we start filtering. We first create an empty placeholder for the filtered signal using np.zeros with a length equal to the zero padded signal, generating 1736 zeros. During the for loop, these zeros will be replaced by the actual filtered values. We run the for loop from 0 to noisy signal.shape and apply the Gaussian filter. This operation is equivalent to convolution. The Gaussian filter slides over the zero padded signal, multiplying and summing values according to the filter window. The length of the filter window is 2n, in this case 200. During each iteration, we multiply the Gaussian filter with the corresponding section of the signal, producing one filtered sample. This process continues until the loop is complete, filtering all points of the zero padded signal. Running this cell generates the Gaussian filtered signal, which still has the zero padded edges. The zero padding was only to avoid edge effects and was not intended to increase the actual length of the signal. Now, we must restore the filtered signal to its original length, from 0 to k. We do this by clipping the edges. Using indexing from 0 to k, we discard the extra samples added at the start and end. The original signal length is A, or 1536 points, so the clipped filtered signal now matches the original signal length. Plotting the clipped filtered signal confirms that we have successfully removed the edges. The filtered signal now spans 0 to 3 seconds and contains 1536 samples, matching the original noisy signal. The zero padding and subsequent clipping ensured perfect filtering across the entire signal without edge effects. Edge effects are critical in signal processing. If desired, you can choose to leave them by not using zero padding. However, for complete and accurate filtering from the first to the last sample, zero padding is necessary. The process involves first extending the signal with zeros, filtering the zero padded signal, and finally clipping the extra samples to restore the original signal length, producing a perfectly filtered signal from 0 to 3 seconds.